Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Indy Investor Pod. My name is Brian Snyder. I'm going to be taking you through today's show. I'm going to be solo today. I'm going to be on my own. A little different show that we're going to do today. But I wanted to jump on here because there's a lot of things that I've been working on with, not just our business in general, some stuff that I've been doing some coaching and consulting with on the side, but just working with, a lot of investors around the nation, different states, and just here in Indy as well, of just going through some things on doing a little reflection on where are you at this point of your year, at this point of what you want to be doing with real estate investing. And then really kind of taking that into what are you going to do for next year? It's right now that you should be planning for your next year. It's not, don't wait until January 1 or, halfway into January or anything like that. You should really start thinking about where you are right now, and what you want to be doing next year. This is the time. And really we started doing that as, when we're in quarter three, we're working on quarter four. When we're on quarter four, that's when we're working on quarter one and stuff. But when we're in quarter four too, that's when we're looking at like what's going on next year. But it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing of going through, of always reflecting, always recalibrating, always knowing where you need to be, what you want to be working on, all those kinds of things. So it's always ongoing, but it's always a chance to kind of take a look back at kind of where you are and knowing where you want to get to. That makes all the difference in the world. And it doesn't matter kind of where you are. If you have a real estate investing business, or you want to have a real estate investing business, or you're just doing something on the side, maybe you're trying to, pick up some passive income to, maybe it's a long-term play for you. Maybe you're just trying to pick up some extra income because, you need some extra money, and that's a good way. Real estate's a great way to do it. Maybe you're trying to do it right now to get out of your day job. No matter where you are, I think we're all kind of in this phase of like right now is when we should be thinking about our next year and planning for that. Some of the stuff I'm going to be going through, it's not just about kind of what's going on right now for next year and planning that. It goes a lot bigger than that. I think it's a lot more important to know where you want to go long term, where you want to go down the road, have those big vision goal things that you want to kind of take a look at before you start really knowing what, then use that to plan for next year, next 5 years, next 2 years, next year, next 90 days, those kind of things. I think that is really important. So some of the stuff I do when that I'm going to be kind of going through today, kind of touching on. You're going to get a little bit of me, just some stuff that I've been working on and some stuff that, I kind of put into our business and some other businesses as well. Then you're going to have to get some simple stuff too. Some of the stuff that we're doing on the simple team that works for us, that we incorporate. You're going to get some stuff from Sharper Business Solutions. Our business coach, Gary Harper, some of the stuff that he's been working with a ton of, entrepreneurs, real estate investors, just all kinds of business owners from, throughout the whole nation, with working on some of this curriculum stuff that he's putting in. And Gary's who I work with on the side too, kind of do some coaching and consulting and things. And then one of my other business coaches, Eddie Wilson, he and Gary are partners, and they're getting into some stuff. And they have this curriculum now called Empire Operating System. Kind of a little bit more elaborated than just EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system. It kind of takes you through different phases of your business and things like that. So like I said, through this episode, you're going to get kind of a little bit of me, a little bit of Simple, a little bit of Gary, a little bit of Eddie, and kind of all those things kind of rolled into one here and stuff. Kind of coming back to that, I think it's good to reflect on and good to think about, and taking some time to think about, where you want to go with your business. And where you want to go with your real estate investing. If, whether it's just investing in general, or if it's long-term where you're going to turn it into a business or anything, it's important to kind of know where you are. When you look at a business, there's 5 different phases of a business. There's basically the startup phase, the perseverance phase, that profitability phase. Then you have the expansion phase, and then you have the succession phase. So kind of knowing where you are with kind of all of those things, and kind of knowing, hey, I'm in that startup phase where I'm just trying to get some rentals under my belt. I just want to get started, or I want to do my first flip this year, my first 5 flips this year. I'm just starting it up, just starting to figure out what I want to do. I know I want to get into real estate investing, but not quite sure what I want to be doing. I'm going to try to, I'm going to talk to some people that are renting. Doing some buy and holds. I'm going to talk to people that are flipping, that are burring, that are, doing some note investing. I'm just trying to figure out what it is. Maybe you are in that startup phase, just trying to figure out, try one thing to see if it's really what you like or what you're good at. Maybe you're in that, maybe you've moved in that second phase too, where you're in that perseverance phase where you know what you want to be doing. I just worked with an individual last weekend. Had a great session with him and got some really good stuff out of him. But he's in that perseverance phase. He knows what he wants to be doing. He's got his first duplex under his belt. It's been renovated. It's tenanted. It's cash flowing really really well for him. Now he's like, all right, what's next? I gotta get this. I gotta get this second one. He of course he's still working his day job, doing a great job at that and things and kind of knowing there. He's in that perseverance phase of just like, yeah, he knows exactly what he wants to be doing. He's in that grind of like, how do I get to that next property and then the next one after that? So maybe you're in that phase. Maybe you've graduated that perseverance phase and you're in that profitability phase where basically, man, you got you're flipping on a regular basis. It's you're doing you're turning a property every 2 months. You got some good income coming in from it. You're at the point of it's possible that you can get out of your day job and that's just kind of what you want to focus on and things like that. Or like, man, you've got 10 buy and holds in your pocket now and they're cash flowing well and you're bringing in, $4 or $5 grand a month, whatever it may be. You're kind of in that phase where it's starting to be a little bit of profitable for you. Or you maybe in that next phase, then you graduate from there is where it's that expansion phase of, wow, what do you want to do with it, man? Do I want to go into another market? Do I want to expand my team? Do I want to bring on more people? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? I'm doing some buy and holds right now, but maybe I want to go ahead and get into note investing as well. So you're kind of expanding what maybe you want to do, what you can do and what you want to be doing. And that last phase is that kind of like succession phase where you're just letting your business work for you. You kind of treat it like an asset a little bit, where you can kind of get out of that day-to-day stuff. And now you have team members that are doing everything for you. You've got your processes down, your systems down, and you're just kind of letting it roll. And letting the business kind of work for you and bringing some money, where it's, whether it's day-to-day money or it's long-term money, whatever it may be. So kind of going through this first, those 5 phases of understanding kind of where you are, and where you kind of want to be. I know kind of an interesting story just about our business and stuff. Brett Snodgrass, the owner of Simple, basically, when he kind of got into it, we were profitable. We're in that profitability phase for, 4 or 5 years. He was kind of living there and doing a great job with it and making, great living out of it. But then, he realized that like, hey, my goal is really not I don't want to grow this thing any bigger. I just want to get out of the business. I want to get out of the day to day. So he went kind of straight from that profitability phase to that succession phase because that's what he wanted to do and be able to turn over the business to us. And just kind of, not that he's not informed and, he is out of the day to day and he's not involved as much, but, he's still, I still talk to him. He's still he has an idea of what's going on and he's, knows where the numbers are and things like that, but he's been able to succeed from the business and things, which is really, really cool. So, you're not saying you have to go through every single step because that's not some people's journey of like, I just want to grow this thing and I want to grow into multiple markets and I want to, do these multiple strategies and have multiple team members and stuff. Maybe it's just like, hey, I just want to get to this point where I can have this much passive income, or, hey, I just want to flip one property. I have my own, construction crew and I just want to flip one property, every 3 months or whatever it may be. Just kind of understanding where you want to be and what you want to be doing with it. But one of those things I think is, I will say with that too, of just the 5 phases of business and kind of understanding that and things, there's a lot of people that maybe, kind of I think where the struggle is where they feel like they're in that profitability phase. But really they're still in that perseverance phase where they're still kind of like, hey, I can't quit my day job with this, or I can't quite make a living off this, or are things, if COVID happens, or if these 3 tenants leave, is my business really profitable? Do I have 3 months cash saved up for what I want to be able to do? 6 months cash saved up for what I want to be able to do? Can I bring team members on? Any of that stuff of kind of, so understanding and have a deep reflection of where you're, kind of where your business is. But I feel like a lot of people get tripped up in that, like kind of that perseverance, profitability and expansion phase. And it kind of, is your business healthy for that next stage and what you want to be able to do? But coming off of that, I think, before we get into and start talking about like, hey, how should I be planning for my goals for next year? And how do I know what I want to be doing, as a real estate investor, next year and things like that in 2022? The most important thing is really understanding what is the purpose behind what you're doing with everything. And if you've heard anything, from us before, heard me give a presentation before, and, I've mentioned on podcasts before and stuff like that, is just understanding the purpose behind what you're doing, I think is so incredibly important. A little bit more. And sometimes it kind of comes off as a little sappy and things like that. And I understand that, but it's a lot bigger than that. And this is coming from somebody that honestly, I've always struggled with purpose a little bit of my personal purpose. I've always been really good at like achieving other people's purposes and being on board and helping them out and stuff like that. But kind of understanding, your personal purpose and what you want to be able to do is really important with everything that you're going through on a day-to-day basis, and in this fourth quarter and going into next year and stuff. So um I think one of the most important things you can do with that, and this is as you're figuring out what that purpose is and what's the reason behind what you're really doing this. And sometimes it does just start off of like, man, I just want to have some passive income, or I just want to quit my day job and be able to be a real estate investor. That stuff's all great. That stuff's all fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. As you start doing that, as you start succeeding with that and having some successes, I think one of the most important things is making sure you understand that bigger purpose behind all that stuff. Because when you can do that, that's when it all just comes together and really makes sense for what you're doing. So one of the things I like to do when you're talking about like, hey, how do I find my purpose? How do I figure that out? How do I figure that out? Really what your life purpose is and what the purpose is behind, what you're going to build your business off of, or what you're going to build your investing career off of, or any of those things. Really what it is when your personal purpose comes together with your professional purpose. When you're thinking about just your business and stuff in general, and you're thinking about your professional career and your real estate investing career and stuff like that. It's easy to stay on just the number side of like, oh, I want to be able to do this many flips, or I want to have this much passive income, but why? What's the purpose behind all that? And I think that's where that personal stuff really does come into play as well. One of the things I like to do is I kind of like to take people through an exercise when they're trying to figure out what their purpose is and kind of that bigger meaning behind what they're doing is, although it may sound a little morbid and stuff, but think about if you passed away, or if somebody's at your funeral and they give a eulogy for you, like, what do you want them to be saying? Like I said, there's a little bit of morbid, it's a little bit morbid thought, not to bring up death and to think about it that way, but that's one of those things you can think about is like, or if you're further along in life and you're 75 years old sitting around with your grandkids or anything, what do you want them to know about you? What do you want people to your grandchildren to hear about you? Those types of things. I think it's one of the things that you can think about and reflect on. And a lot of times when people think about that, I'm like, oh, this is what I would love to have my eulogies, or I love to hear my eulogy, or I love to have my grandchildren hear about me. That's a lot of times that's where your personal and professional purpose comes together. So take some time and think about that of what do you want people to be saying about you? Where do you want that legacy to kind of land with you? Is it that, man, oh, Brian Steiner, he just had all this money and he was able to do this? Or is it like, man, he was able to make an impact. He was able to help these people. He's able to do that. Kind of understanding what that purpose is, and knowing what that purpose is long-term, big terms. That's where, if you understand that and know that, that's when planning for 2022 becomes very, very easy. Okay. Not saying it's going to be easy to get there. Not saying it's going to be simple in what you need to do, but what it is, it's going to make sense. Okay. So if you take your purpose long-term of really where you want to get to, and then it makes it really easy to figure out, hey, what's my 10-year goal? What's my 5-year goal? What's my 2-year goal? And just work it backwards to be like, okay, what do I need to do in 2022? And what do I need to do in the first quarter? Because where you want to get to long term, and it makes a pretty big difference in the world. So, or makes a pretty big difference in your world, I should say. One of those things too is like when you're thinking about kind of that purpose statement of like what it is and what you want to be able to do. If you can kind of figure out these 4 things and put them all together, this is where it really starts to click. If you can figure out basically what you love doing combined with your strengths, combined with what your job is or what you want to be doing, kind of, so what you love, what your strengths are, what you want to do for the real estate investing, and then also what the world needs. If you can combine all 4 of those things together, you're going to have one impactful purpose going long-term and stuff. So, and sometimes there can be a tangible thing. There can be a number tied to it. I spoke earlier a little bit about like a couple of my coaches and mentors that I really look up to, Gary Harper and Eddie Wilson. Like Gary's big purpose is that he wants to basically give, by the year 2026, he wants to give $2.6 million to the Lord's work in a bunch of different ways. Like that's such a cool purpose to get behind and kind of know. Eddie Wilson, his purpose, kind of what he wants to be doing, kind of his big goal is to be able to have a Christian radio station on every country in the world. Like those are huge goals. There's a lot of purpose behind kind of what they're doing and things. And if you guys can kind of figure that out of what they've done, they've kind of taken with what they love doing, what their strengths are, what their job is, and with what the world needs. Kind of putting all those things together is pretty cool, which is awesome, stuff like that. So with me, like I said, I just being transparent here, I've always kind of struggled with that, my own personal purpose statement. But what I've realized is like my purpose is just to elevate everyone around me, no matter what it is, in any way. If it's just giving them a high five, giving them an encouragement, being able to give them some money to help them out with something, being able to give them advice, being able to do this podcast and maybe, reach one person with things. That's my goal. That's my purpose of really whatever I'm doing. I just want to elevate everybody that I come in contact with. That's what I want to be able to do, or that's what I want to be able to do. So it's important for me. And that's what I've been able to be blessed with some people that have been in my life that have been able to elevate me, and encourage me and help me out in things. And if I can just do that in the same way, might not be as tied up in a bow as like Gary and Eddie's is, but I kind of know that's where I am right now with my life. It's just like when I come in contact with somebody, I just want to do whatever I can to elevate them to that next position. So coming back to all this stuff too, let me know if I can ever help you or elevate you up in any way. But putting those four things together, I think is really important, coming to that purpose statement. So what you love doing, what your strengths are, what your job is, and what the world needs, put those together, you're going to be in really, really good shape. And kind of, coming out of that. So, and then with that, once you know what that purpose is, what you want to know what the reason is behind you, why you're doing all those things you're doing. If it's just like, hey, I just want to provide for my family and, leave a legacy, that's awesome stuff. That's great. That's impactful. But keeping that in mind as you're setting your goals. So, one of those things that with that is understanding your purpose and stuff. I think it's important, not as you're going through some of these things, it's not just knowing your purpose and saying like, okay, here's what I need to do next year. Go bigger than that. Go know what your purpose is, but then also know what your big long-term goal is. What do you really want to get out of that? Let's say if I'm a buy and hold investor and my goal is to just have $25,000 of passive income coming in each month. If that's my goal, that's that big goal. That's where I want to get to. That's what's going on. Knowing that is awesome. Now put a timeline on it. Okay. When do you need to get there? Okay. Is it 10 years? You're going to give yourself 10 years to get to that point where you can have 25,000 passive income, or is it 5 years or whatever it is? Kind of figuring out those things, I think is really important. Knowing what those big goals are and put some numbers behind it. Okay. What do you actually want to get to? What's that number that you need to get to? And then put a timeline behind it. And then one of the things I want you to do with that is, once you have that stuff, is ask yourself, is it big enough? Is it enough for what you want to be able to do? Are you going to want to push more? Is it going to be enough for what your purpose is? Is it going to be enough for your family or for your legacy, or, like I said, your purpose as well? So does it do everything for you? Is it going to make you happy? Are you going to get excited about it? Is it going to inspire you? Those are the things that you should be able to answer. So when I say, yeah, I want to have $25,000 passive income every month, does that get me fired up? Does that get me excited? Or is it like, yeah, I'm going to be able to live comfortable and I'm going to be able to help my family out. Think, what are all the things that you really can do with that? And what do you want to be able to do with that? And if some of those questions aren't answered, it's not big enough. Okay. What do you really want to be doing? And figure that out. So once you have that goal, once you have that, that big goal of what you want to do with your life, and you put some numbers behind it, and you put a timeline behind it, okay, now you're in good shape. Now you can on to the next phase of just break it down for you to get there. Let's say you come up with that big goal. Let's just go with the example I've been using, $25,000 passive income. Let's say you want to do it within 10 years. Okay. What does that mean? What do you need to be able to get to that? For you to be able to have that, does that mean do you have to own an apartment building? Are you doing syndications? How many single families do you need if you're going to do that? How many duplexes? Are you going to do single families, duplexes, and then a small multifamily? Knowing kind of what that looks like, okay? Breaking those numbers down of, if you need to get to that, how many units does that take? So if you need to get to $25,000 passive income, okay, what's your general cash flow that you have going on right now? Is it, man, are you bringing in $200 a door, like, consistently? then how many do you need to get to for that next level? How many do you get to be able to understand that? So knowing those numbers and breaking those down, I think is really important as well. Okay. Once you have that big goal, whatever it is, whether it's 10 years, whether it's 5 years, whatever it is, now you start just breaking it down a little bit more. Break it down into a 2-year goal. Okay. So if I want to get to this point, if I want to have $25,000 passive income by this point, that means, let's say for you, maybe that means that you have to have 150 units, 150 doors, whatever it is. Just kind of throwing out some numbers right there. Knowing if I need 150 doors in 10 years, what do I need to accomplish in 2 years? So in 2 years, what do I need? If I want to get to 150 doors, maybe in 2 years, I need to be at 30. 30 doors is going to put me away. It's going to put me 20% of the way there, probably in pretty good shape. So then your focus is, okay, what do I need to do in the next 2 years to get to those 30 doors? All right. To get to 30 doors, you need to start thinking about that. Okay. How much revenue is that going to bring in? How much money do I need for that? Then what do you need? What do you have everything lined up for that? Do you have your financing lined up for that? What do you need to do for financing for that? Do you need to, what kind of a money position do you need to be in? How much money do you need to be able to do that? Then you got to start thinking about, a little bit more tangible. You got to get a little bit more granular with that. So what does that look like? If you're managing 30 doors on your, if you're managing 30 doors on your own, can you manage 30 doors on your own? Okay. Does that mean you're out of your day job? Does that mean you want to be in, or are you doing it on your own? Do you need a property management company? Do you need a construction crew? Do you need your own clean out crews? Can you do it all with contractors? Do you need your own people? All those kinds of things. And then also, how are you going to come across those? Okay. Think about what you need to do for networking and marketing. How are you going to acquire those? Okay. Are you going to get them all through the MLS? Do you need one agent? Do you need a couple agents? Do you need a couple wholesalers that you're working with? Do you need to do your own marketing? Going through all those types of things. Okay. And understanding kind of where that is. And then also, do you need any support? Okay. Do you need to get a VA or 3 VAs or your own in-house person, your own boots on the ground, any of those things? So what are all those things? Also, what market can be in? Can you get 30 doors in the next 2 years here in Indianapolis? Do you need to do Indianapolis and Columbus and Louisville, or can you do Indianapolis and just go outside of it a little bit? Okay, I'm going to do Indianapolis and Kokomo and Terre Haute. Okay, understanding some of those things of like what all makes sense, what all is reasonable. Can you do that? Okay. Once you kind of understand that, okay, and you break it down, kind of where you are for 2 years, that's when you get to that point of like, okay, now I need to break it down for 1 year. What do I need to do in the next year? Okay. So I went from entering this podcast and saying like, hey, I want to take you through some exercises that we do to help out. Basically, this is the time that you should be planning for your 2022. But I just took you through a whole lot of things right there real quick that you need to do before you start planning for your actual 2022, of understanding where you are in your business. What phase of business are you in? Where do you want to be? What is your purpose behind all you want to be doing? And then what is that big goal? What is that 5-year goal? What is that 10-year goal? Whatever way you want to do, and then break it down into, okay, what do you need to do in the next 2 years? Now, if you know what you want to do in the next 2 years, now you can know what you want to do in the next year. Okay. So what do you need to do in 2022? Okay. Make sure you take a look at what you did in 2021. How was your 2021? And be honest with it. Were you good? Was the market good? Are the prices too high? Do you need the prices to come down? Will they come down? Do you need more money? Do you need more, do you need, is your strategy okay? All right. Do I need to get away from single families? Do I need to do duplexes? Do I need to get into some multifamily stuff? Is it possible to get into multifamily stuff? Because it's so competitive right now. Do I need to expand how I'm looking for deals? Okay. Is my agent bringing me enough deals? Is my wholesaler bringing me enough deals? Am I working with too many wholesalers? All those kind of things. Okay. Where are my construction crews? Understanding, reflecting on all those things of what happened in 2021. All right. And then break it down into what do I need to do next year? Okay. Where do you want to be by the end of next year? We'll go back to my example of my long-term goal is to have 150 holds. That's going to bring me in $25,000 cash a month, passive cash flow a month with that. Okay. We broke it down in 2 years where I needed to get to 30 by the end of those 2 years. What do I need to do this year? All right. I'm going to get 10 by the end of 2022. And then I'm going to have 30 by the end of 2023 and break that down. Okay. Well, if I need to have 10, here's what I need to do. Here's what that looks like for me. I'm going to try to go after 6 single families and 2 duplexes. That's how I'm going to get getting as granular as that, of knowing kind of where that is. Or are you open and being able to understand, yeah, I can be open. All right. Simple's got a couple fourplexes right now. All right, maybe I'll buy a fourplex off Simple. That already gets me, 40% of my goal for the year, whatever it may be. So kind of knowing that and where you want to go with that. And then, like I said, too, this all comes back to asking yourself those questions. All right, so if I get to 10 doors, what does that mean for me? Am I going to do that property management? Do I need to bring on a property manager? Can my property manager that I have right now, can they handle this level? Is our communication good? Are my leases good? Do I have to do any lease ups? Do I have enough money to do some lease ups and construction if somebody moves out on those rehabs? What amount of rehab am I looking forward for? Am I looking for when I'm looking for these next 10 doors? Can I take that on, or do I want them to be turnkey? All those things, making sure you're kind of going through. All right. One last step. So we got it down from the, 10 year to the 2 year to the 1 year. Now the next thing you need to do before you finish this exercise is figure out what you need to do in the first quarter of next year. What it needs to happen. What do you need to do? Who do you need to network with? What connections do you need to make? Are you making any purchases? Are you making any hires? Do you need a new lender? Do you need a new property manager? Do you need any of this stuff? Of breaking it down into what do I need to do in the next 90 days to set me up for 2022. That's going to set me up for 2023. That's going to set me up for my 10-year goal. That's going to set me up and put me on point with my purpose for my life. Okay. Going from those big overarching things down into breaking it down into something as small as, like, in the next 90 days, I'm going to accomplish this to put me on track and on goal with what I want to do long-term for my life, for my family, for my purpose. That's what it all comes down to. So, guys, I know this episode was a little different than what we usually do. And we usually have somebody on here, talking about strategy or talking about neighborhoods, talking about what's going on. But hopefully this helped you out. Hopefully this kind of gave you, hopefully there's a moment in here at least where you're like, stop for a second and be like, man, I do need to reflect on this. Am I really good at this? Is this going well? Is this what I want to be doing? Is this okay? Is this okay with me? Am I doing okay? Is the market doing okay? What do I need to change up? And where do I want to be long-term for what I want to be doing in life? And why am I doing this anyway? Understanding all those things are super important. I know it's a struggle for a lot of us, and things are going to change, and that's definitely okay. But take some time to think about it. Take some time to kind of reflect on how your 2021 went. I will say I got one last little tip too. Make sure as you're reflecting on your 2021, who are all the people that you needed to thank during that year as well. I know with Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas coming up, holidays coming up, it's one of those things. It's a great time to make sure the people that have helped you out throughout the year, just recognize them in some way, even if it's something as simple as a thank you note or something as simple as a simple email. One of the things I did last year too, I do a lot of gifts and a lot of thank you notes and stuff like that too, but I just did recordings of myself last year. I just sat down one day for like 3 hours, just recordings of myself saying, hey, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much for what you did for us this year. I appreciate this. Here's how it's helped us. Here's what it meant to me. And I got a lot of positive feedback from stuff like that. So you have to go over the top. You don't have to be crazy with some of the stuff. It's always great if you do some stuff like that, but it also just goes a long way just to say thank you and let people know that have helped you out along the way. In 2021, let them know that you are thankful and appreciate them. And because you never know, in 2022, you might need to go for them to something. You might need to help them out with something. It's one of those things of building relationships. So, like I said, guys, I know this podcast was a little bit different, but hopefully this helped you out. I know I appreciate all of you out there. Got a lot of positive feedback from the Indy pod in 2021. So we thank you for all the feedback, all the positive feedback, and then also just suggestions too of like, man, I wish you guys would hit this. Always let us know that. We do appreciate that. We want to know. We want to be talking about what you guys want to be knowing or what you guys want to know. So thanks a lot. And with that, that's a wrap for this episode of the Indy Investor Pod. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.